All right, folks. Welcome to the Night's Watch. I'm Jacob.
I'm Alex.
And
we're back from a little break.
Yeah.
New Year's was good.
Little holiday break.
Yeah.
Needed it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. This week is like the worst week of the fucking year.
Oh, yeah.
Monday,
going back.
Worst fucking Monday of the fucking year.
Going back to work, and everybody suddenly now it's, we need to do it all right now. How? We need this thing now because we're going to do this thing next week. I'm like, well, you guys should have thought of that before the holidays, frankly.
Yeah.
Because go fuck yourself.
You know, I worked an hourly food service job for better part of 10 years when I was struggling to finish college. And I always used to hate it when people complain about shit like that. I'm like, well, at least you got to take time off for the holidays. My ass is fucking working the whole time. And that's true, so I don't want to complain too much. But at the same time, I'm like, it's a special kind of fucking frustration.
Oh, yeah. It's different. Like,
I think it's because me, I'm like, guys, we all realize that these are all like, all these deadlines, we made them up, you know.
These are all arbitrary.
Exactly. This is an arbitrary date, arbitrary deadline. Like,
Yep.
We're only doing this because you chose for us to do this. Like, it's not like at the ice cream store where if I'm not there, the store isn't open and can't sell ice cream.
No, you just make some random fucking teenager work a double shift and say, good luck.
Yeah. It's like, no, that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Post Christmas blues, post New Year's blues, it hit pretty fucking hard.
It hit, but in good news, we are 50% away through the season. I know we just came off a pretty bad fucking loss to the Islanders.
Yeah,
but
I'm glad we waited a few days to record.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to focus just on that.
Yeah.
But that's all I would have been able to think of.
A pretty bad loss to the Islanders, but like we said, they're a good defensively structured team. It's just they can't score. They scored against us, but they had their good game that they needed. We're still tied for points, top of the league with the Caps and the Jets, and then we still have the highest points percentage.
Yeah, that did help the post holiday blues.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, all right, we still got half the hockey season to play, and then the ungodly summer will come, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
I think that's, like, that loss you need, like, you know, you need those stinkers. I mean, like, look against Montreal. We weren't happy about that, but like, you need to get brought back down.
This is the second episode we recorded immediately after an embarrassing loss. But even then, I'm like, you know, I mean, Montreal's been on a tear, so
yeah, they've been good.
You look at the other teams, they'd be like, okay, well, it's not.
They've beaten Florida, Tampa.
Yeah, I'm like, well, it's not just us. I don't know if that's a shitty way to look at it, but I'm like, well, hey, don't look at us. You know, it was also Colorado and whatever.
Yeah, those kids are firing, and you know they're finally hitting a stride. You know, they're all actually kind of clicking together, and Montembeau's not that bad, but he's not. You know, he's serviceable, right? But
I can tell you what he's not.
He's not a third goalie for them.
I say he's not better than Logan Thompson.
No,
I can say that.
But you know, back to us,
surely.
like, you know, we're 50% of the way through. Like, I mean, like, what's your
explanation?
Not explanation. Like, what's your take on this team? Like, 41 games in, we're top of the Pacific by like 6 points, give or take. I think over LA.
I think it's 6.
Jack Eichel is top 10 in points. He's like third in assists. Stone is still a point per game. The goalies have gotten way better.
Yeah. I think there's a lot that goes into this. First point I'll make. We have this dynamic duo, this Batman and Superman, Obi-Wan and Anakin, fucking Liu Kang and fucking Kung Lao, fucking Mark Stone and Jack Eichel. That's just, they have just been a fucking elite.
And Mark Stone came right back into the lineup and, you know, was immediately back to a point per game.
Dude, I deadass think he like has a chance of breaking 100
with 10, 15 games.
After missing like almost 20 games or whatever it was. I'm like, this man's gonna get like a fucking 100 points in like 60 games. It feels like.
Yeah. It's possible. I mean, he's just assisting on everything. He's always, if he is down in front of the net, that puck could go to any four of the other skaters on the ice, and it could be a goal. Yeah. Like, it's just that dynamic, and people don't think of Mark Stone as a dynamic guy because he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but I would argue he's one of the smartest.
Oh, easy. He's like a very cerebral player.
Yeah.
and he just always knows where to be. He's always
he knows
in the right
wherever he knows
spot.
where everybody's at. He knows who's playing with him. He knows how fast everybody's going. Is that?
I was say sorry, I'm distracted by fucking Connor McDavid's brother in the press box.
I was like, was that fucking Timu Connor McDavid?
Said it looks a little too much like him. It's weirding me out.
It's like Wayne Gretzky's son, fucking Brian Gretzky. It looks vaguely like him. But yeah, but like
Fucking Connor McDavid's fucking homunculus.
that's the guy that's the body that Connor takes the ligaments and organs from to be better.
Yeah, that's his donor body, his donor clone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and it really is, back to Eichel and Stone. It really is just in all areas.
Mm.
It's offense, it's defense. Jesse Granger was pulling numbers because he's really pushing the idea that Eichel should be in Hart consideration.
Eichel should be in consideration for every trophy.
Yeah,
Period. A forward can win.
yeah. I know he's not going to get the Hart because
Connor McDavid's having not Connor McDavid. Nathan McKinnon's having a fucking retard season. Like,
well, it's like the Hart MVP. You think, okay, who's the most valuable player to a team? And fucking Jack Eichel is fucking
easily the most valuable player.
Everything for this team.
Yeah.
And he just to me, he plays such a complete game.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and like try to downplay Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon or Kirill Kaprizov because they're obviously elite. But at the end of the day, this award typically goes to, it's always a forward, and it's more or less who has the most points. Maybe if you have something gimmicky like 100 assists and 50 goals, it's always the same three guys pretty much. Three or four guys.
Yeah, but the fact that he's even in consideration, he's that far up there, and he's had a healthy season. He's playing great both ways.
Can I throw two fun facts at you about Eichel? So compared to all those other guys, like almost all of his points all of his goals are like at even strength. I know he's not scoring as many goals as those guys, but I forgot this number was crazy, but I think Nathan McKinnon has like 10 empty net goals or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. The point, maybe it was all of them combined. I just remember I was looking at it and I was like, damn, a lot of you boys are getting you have gaudy numbers, but if you're looking at 5-on-5 metrics, like it's a lot closer
it's
than
Jack
people
Eichel.
think.
Yeah.
And then to me, this is a big one. Maybe not for the Hart, but for the Selke. So McKinnon, McDavid, all those guys, 2% of their shifts start in the defensive zone.
Mm-hmm.
They start 98% of their shifts in the neutral zone or the offensive zone.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Eichel starts 16% of his shifts in the defensive zone. And as you recall, a few nights ago, we had a 5-on-3 situation.
Yep.
He was the first forward over the boards.
Jack Eichel.
Yep. So he does it all. And then Mark Stone is just the perfect complement.
Yeah. Just great positioning.
I love Marshy, and obviously it worked out because we won a fucking cup. But sometimes a part of me is like, God, why didn't we think of this before?
Yeah, because like you got the speed and the speed and the overall just like ability of Jack Eichel, but then you also have like the hockey IQ and just stick management, puck management, and positioning of Mark Stone. And then we're getting Barbie back tonight. Now you got that big bruiser body that also can score. We got the power forward that was there and dominating with those two. Now he's back.
Exactly, because they tried a few guys at that position, right? Like they had Pearson up there for a while because
Pearson Olofsson.
He is that physical presence. He can win wall battles. He can recover the puck. But then obviously the high end skill or IQ is not really there.
Mm-mm.
And then you got Olofsson, who has the speed, has the skill, has the IQ.
He just has the body,
and he. It's not that he's not willing to play physical or not willing to play on the boards. Like he's pretty good at it. Like better than I think people give him credit for. But I don't think he was quite at that level.
No, he's not at Barbie's level of.
Well, I was going to say, but then you take those two players and you combine them, and then you basically just have Ivan Barbashev, who has the physicality,
cigarette vending machine.
Yeah, he can play on the. He gets on the walls. He gets pucks. He's super fucking smart. He's very underrated offensively. And suddenly, you got a guy that's both physical and can get the puck, but can also will also probably finish with 30 goals.
Exactly. He probably will, even though missing this time. He's what, at 15, I think, and he's got 41 more games. I think there's a solid chance that he finishes with 30. I think there's a solid chance that Brett Howden finishes with 30.
Yeah.
And that's kind of leading me into another point is we got a ton of guys having career years.
Yeah.
Jack Eichel, namely, he's on track for the most points he's ever scored, most assists he's ever scored.
Oh, yeah.
By a long shot. Brett Howden, his best season yet. He's already surpassed goals. Keegan Kolesar. Pavel Dorofiev. I know he hasn't been doing great lately, but he's on track for his best season yet.
He's heating up a little bit. He's had what, 2 goals in the last 5 games.
But he's also playing a good game though. He's not making crazy mistakes. He's like we talked about previously. He's got great positioning. He's strong, like strangely strong in the puck for how small of a guy he is. He's having a good season, and then Shea Theodore.
Yes, to me, like Theodore, and then more broadly speaking, just the defense as a whole. Like getting back to the original question of how were we here at first?
Yep, the defense is. Other than a handful of games, I'd say mainly those at the beginning of the season. Those early season games that were really rough, and then maybe a couple since then. Since like Halloween, I would say.
To me,
they've really locked it. Yeah, they've really locked in.
To me, the turning point was around Thanksgiving, where we went on that big long road trip.
Yes,
and to me, like I know people think of this as a good game. I really fucking hated this game, but that game against Philly. We came back, and everyone loves a dramatic comeback, but we were so fucking sloppy.
Yeah, we were. And then also in the team's defense too, I think like our forward lineup was pretty fucking brutal that game.
Yeah,
like
was.
Carlson was out. I think one of the other depth forwards was out. Like we had like Calbert playing first line wing.
Yeah, and true that I don't want to talk too much.
But
shit
yeah,
about it. But the point being, like
defense was sloppy that game. Like
it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad, and just the puck management was so bad, and like it was just bad. And obviously they came came back and it was great. Good fun story there. But I just remember thinking, I'm like, fuck, man, like if this is the way we're getting dangerously close to like. December here. I'm like, this is the way the team's going to play. Like, we're not going to make it out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But then, that final game of that road trip was that Colorado game. Where,
and they locked in on that game.
Yeah, we lost like 1-0 or 2-1.
2-1 in a shootout.
Yeah, and to me, they were playing the way that that they can, and the way that is going to help you win in the playoffs. And ever since then, I feel like they've really gotten back into that defensive structure and that defensive identity and taking pride in playing the right way.
Yep.
And then once they straighten that out, getting back to how good the defense has been, they have really been chipping in offensively as well.
Yeah.
I feel like once they shored up that structure problem and they started defending well again, then suddenly they're jumping in the rush, not leading the rush, not being irresponsible, getting out of position, but finding that key time to jump into the rush and funnel shit to the net, and suddenly everyone's just fucking getting scoring.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then that also helps the goaltenders. I know last game, obviously you don't want to dwell on it, but Samsonov is coming into tonight. I'm assuming he's playing, obviously. On track for his if we win, that'd be 7 wins in a row, and the most wins he's had in a row as a starter. He's having a resurgent season. And Hill started slow, and he's had a couple games where it's like questionable, but he's been good. It's not Hill's fault that the team was dog shit in front of him on Thursday.
Yeah, two of those goals were just
bad passes, breakaways straight into Hill. Like
they just put him in such a bad position.
Oh yeah, he was making saves that game too that were high danger chances, and we were just not playing well. But
and we also only generated 3 high danger chances.
Yeah, the offense was awful. It's just they didn't have anything that night. But it happens. But the goaltenders have been better. I mean, Sammy's having a great year. And they're starting to split games a little bit more. The whole thing at the beginning of the season was like, we want Hill to, have a chance of making Team Canada. And I'm like, I don't know about that. He wasn't very good to start the season. He's been a lot better.
Yeah.
Since then, and Samsonov has been a lot better since the couple of games he had bad games in. There's a couple stinkers he did have, but I feel like that's par for the par for the course for a Samsonov season.
Exactly. He's the way I look at it, it's like, yeah, I know like his numbers are pretty good, but his, I guess I'll just call it his mental game.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm glad you're playing great. You're going to be a great backup, maybe even a great we'll call it a tandem, 1A, 1B.
Yep.
But we'll just keep it at that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about a little bit going forward on like what we can like fix. I think the big thing is just like the complacency. Like
I think it's that, and then
just not letting the mistakes stack up in a game, like, because you can go back and fix those, but you don't want them to happen all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little better recently, but to me, the whole we'll wait until the other team scores first and then we'll start.
We can't.
Trying.
Yeah, we can't do that.
That's not a good habit.
That's not something we need to do.
And that's one thing. It feels like we're nitpicking, and maybe we are, just because we know this team very well.
Yeah.
But when you are on one of these huge big tears where you win, fucking 17 out of 24 or whatever.
Yeah, but we're not the hottest team in the league, right?
Oh no, Edmonton is.
Edmonton is after
They're losing to the Blackhawks right now. By the way,
they also lost to the Ducks.
Well, it's the hottest team in the league.
One time, like we talked about, they're not even the hottest team. They're not even the hottest team in the division after us. LA is better than they are.
I would say they're not even the second hottest team.
No,
in the division.
LA is better. They're not even the hottest team in the West. I mean, it's us, LA, Winnipeg, Minnesota is hanging around. Yeah. Colorado's heating back up. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I know, I get it. It's Canadian bias and it's Edmonton bias. It's all that, but like,
gotta get those clicks.
It's like, but like, guys, come on. I know you guys want a Canadian team. Why focus on Edmonton though? Toronto's having a damn good season.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was to say we got the Toronto game on right now, and I kind of had that thought the other day where I'm like, I feel like no one's talking. I don't. It sounds weird to say that no one's talking about them because people won't just never shut the fuck up about Toronto. But it almost feels that way, doesn't it? I feel like they're having. I feel like this is the best they've looked in a long time.
It's because there's
no
less drama and there's less flashiness in this on this team than ever before. Because now they have a stout defense. Now they've got forwards. Max Pacioretty is having a great year with them.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing like third or fourth line, and he's just hitting everything that moves, and he's
to me this
he's
is
just playing well.
To me, it's just proof that that good old Canadian hockey media that really do just thrive off of negativity.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like, oh well, what do we pick at? And like, oh,
well,
nothing,
look at this. They're speaking of Toronto. They're playing right now. They're playing Vancouver. Look at that whole Vancouver drama with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. That's all you fucking read about. And then it's like, is it even that big of a deal? Turns out, no. They're just probably like chirping at each other in practice to tell each other to be better. Like they can both be better.
I don't want to hear this level of media attention unless like somebody fucks somebody's wife.
Exactly. Unless it's an Erik Karlsson situation in Ottawa where Erik Karlsson's wife was bullying. Who was it? Matt Duchene's wife. There's like something ridiculous happened there. Yeah. Like Erik Karlsson's wife was such a toxic piece of shit that they had to fight Hoffman too. Like it was some crazy fucking drama.
It was so bad that fucking they blew up that team.
Yeah, and Erik Karlsson was the last one remaining, and then he ended up getting traded. But anyways, speaking of trade targets,
I'll tie it back to Vegas. They got rid of Mark Stone. And now he's our captain, and he's leading us to cups.
They got rid of Mark Stone. We won a cup in a couple of years, and
Duchene's on a competitor,
on a contender, a really good contender. And Erik Karlsson's been just scoring points and being really bad at defense, and being on teams that have no chance of winning cups. I saw something absolutely the dumbest comment I've ever seen in my entire life. So. It was probably a week ago when the Pens were not in playoff position, which, the East, those 8 bottom feeders are going to be jockeying for a position for the next 3 months.
Can we talk about that real quick? Like, I didn't realize how fucking insane the East is in the sense that, like...
They're so mediocre outside of the top 6 teams.
Well, people are like, oh, this is going to be a fun playoff battle to watch. I'm like... Well, it's not a playoff battle race in the sense that they're all really good, and
they all have 42 points.
Yeah, so they're it's more
cool.
It's more like the bottom half of that conference. Just they are all so bad.
Yeah,
that even Buffalo, who is so bad, like you look at the points, I'm like, well, they're technically not out of it,
dude. It was a point that Lawless made against the Islanders. He goes, yeah, they've got 30 something points, and they're only 3 points away from dead last or 2 or 3 points away from dead last with Chicago, but they're also only 5 points out of a playoff position.
Yeah, it's insane, and like. I feel like people are trying to use that fact to make it sound like the East is good. I'm
no,
the East
mediocre.
is bad.
Like there's the clear top teams.
You look at the West, and I'd say probably the top 7 teams are locked in.
Oh yeah, and there's
maybe Vancouver's probably the biggest jeopardy of losing their spot.
And then there's a massive fucking divide.
Yeah,
like it's a massive drop. Yeah, could a bad team beat a good team on a given night? Sure, it happens. But points wise, it's like you said, those top 6 or 7 teams, a couple teams battling for that last spot, and then just dog shit.
Yeah, and then in the East, to me, I'm like I said, it's not that they're so good it's competitive. It's more like, yeah, there's at least 4 teams that like aren't good enough to establish themselves and like get a lead and like string together like 3 wins in a row. Like,
so I was looking at it right now. Colorado is in a wild card position, tied with Dallas for 3rd place and 4th place in the West or in the Central.
Chicago?
Not Chicago. I'm sorry, Colorado.
Oh.
They have something like upper 40s, like 40 something point, like close to 50. And then in the Pacific, 4th place is Vancouver. They're like at 44, give or take. And Calgary is right behind them. And all those teams would be in 3rd place in both the Atlantic and the Metro.
Jesus.
And well ahead, 2 points ahead of the wild card teams. It's like, yeah, everybody getting excited that the Habs are going to make the playoffs and wild card 2. Cool.
See, and that's the thing too. I know. I was like,
it's a Washington situation.
Are the Habs going to make the playoffs? And I was like, no fucking way. But then I look at it, I'm like, actually, they might.
Just out of like fucking.
But if they do, it's
a mid off.
Exactly. If they do, it's more of a fucking damnation of how fucking bad the East is.
It's the opposite of Washington. Like, remember last year, it's like, who's getting this wild card 2? Who's getting sacrificed to the Rangers?
Yeah, no, exactly.
And now this year is like, who's getting sacrificed to the Washington Capitals?
Yeah, no, exactly. How the tables have turned.
Whose heads are going to be on the platter so Ovi can fucking cut it off? Like,
no, for real. Because like doesn't like Montreal have like a -20? Or no, it's Boston's in 3rd and they have a fucking -20 goal differential.
Boston is such a fucking fraud. I know they beat the Panthers today, but Panthers are going through a slump.
Well, it's exactly what happened to us last year. I'm like, yeah. I feel like when they say Stanley Cup hangover, they think like, that means like they're gonna the first 20 games they're only gonna win like 7 of them.
No, it's mid-season when it really catches up with you.
Exactly. I'm like, no, it's more. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's like getting tired on a hike, and
and you're halfway. You
might get that good start, but then suddenly
you're halfway up the slope, and you're like, I'm gonna fucking die here.
Yeah. Suddenly you're like, oh god, how far away is the parking lot?
And then again, the Panthers have built a big enough lead, though. It was kind of opposite of us, where LA hung around and Vancouver hung around us. Like the West was good enough to where they still hung around how good we were. Florida built up enough of a lead in their division to where they're still like fucking 8 points up on Boston. And maybe they're second to Toronto, and Toronto's just having a good season. But I think it's going to be opposite for them, where they can hang around 2nd or 3rd and be very fine with losing games. Just because how bad wild card 1 and 2, like it's so bad that the Pens are gonna might make the playoffs.
Know that's insane to me. But even then,
the Blue Jackets are in a playoff position today.
God, I love that actually. I
love that for them.
I love that for them. But for the for the rest of the East, it's just really
it's a joke. R.I.P. Johnny Hockey.
A damning.
Rest in peace, Johnny Gaudreau. But like, even with Johnny Gaudreau, was this team picked to do anything this year?
No.
Like, no. Like, if he was on the team, I'm sure that team would be right where they're at. But like this, either way, the team wasn't picked to be good. But yeah, they're probably playing, with do it for Johnny, which is great. But that team is playing out of their goddamn minds.
That Voronkov,
the
Marchenko,
the Russian Canadian line, fucking Kirill, Sean. or Dimitri Kirill and Sean Monahan is playing out of their minds. But just looking at like I think that's I know I had like around the league and we get back to Golden Knights, but like those are the surprise. Like big surprise to me is like just how maybe it's not a surprise because we kind of thought the East was going to be bad, but just truly how just mediocre.
Yeah,
the middle of the East is. It's just like it's so
they're
mediocre
all
that Detroit had under 35 points a week and a half ago, and they've won a few games in a row to the point where they're a point out of wild card 2.
Yeah, and
that's not happening in the West.
Because you'd have to win a shit ton of games. That and
where San Jose's in the same spot. You know what would happen if they won 3 games in a row?
Fucking nothing.
They would still be in last place.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's not just the games that you win; it's the other teams have to lose those games. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
In the East, the other teams are losing those games because none of them can fucking have more than a good week back to back.
Right.
Like except Montreal, I guess. So that's why they're the talk of the town. But is that going to last? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe they're just having the same conversation we are. Maybe they're like, guys, look around us, man. We can do this.
Okay, listen to this. So the Atlantic,
Mm-hmm.
Toronto, 56 points.
Nice.
Florida, 52. Like I said, built a good lead. Tampa Bay, 46. Boston, 45. Then Montreal's got 43.
Damn.
And then let's go to the Metro. Washington, 59. We knew.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, 54. We knew how good they could be. The Devils, 54. We also knew how good they could be.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. Columbus. You want to guess what Columbus has right now?
I don't know, like 38.
44 points.
Okay. Yeah,
More than Montreal. You know who? Guess who else also has more than Montreal? Pittsburgh. Columbus and Pittsburgh both have 44, and Montreal's got 43. Now it's a point off. It could change any time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is what we're excited about in Canada is Montreal's got 43 points, and they're going to get their dicks fucking lasered off by Toronto or Florida, Washington. If they make the playoffs, over the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins, fucking Sidney Crosby dragging the bloated corpse of Chris Letang and Erik Karlsson along.
Hey, man, Nikita Kucherov said it best. They went on a fraudulent run, which we were part of.
Yeah,
but
they were.
They went on a fraudulent run. They get to the cup final. They win literally one game,
and it was like they won the cup.
Yeah, so they celebrate in the streets like they fucking won the cup, and then they promptly fucking got knocked out of the building.
Let me give you the West, just perspective on all. Remember that the Blue Jackets have 44 points, Tampa Bay has 46, and Boston has 45. I'm going to give you these points. This is the Central. Winnipeg, 59.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, 56. Dallas, 53.
So that's already 3 teams.
Colorado, 53.
4 teams with 50 plus points.
And then St. Louis has 44. Utah's got 43. Pacific. Vegas, 59. LA, 53. Edmonton, 53. Vancouver, 46. Calgary, 45. So there are 10 teams that would make it in the playoffs over the bottom 8 of the East.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the days.
The East Coast bias is absurd. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, and they, I listen to, now that I'm back at fucking work, I'm back to, listening to hockey podcasts in the office because I, God forbid I fucking talk to anyone. Yeah, and then it's just, they even they acknowledge it and they joke about it, but they don't care. They literally joke about like, oh yeah, well, I'm not staying up until 10 o'clock to watch the fucking Sharks. I'm like, well, if you did, maybe you would realize that fucking Cole, fucking Macklin Celebrini
is the Calder chance
is a million times better than fucking
Lane Hudson. Maybe you would realize that in the best teams in the league are indeed in the West,
and specifically in the, I feel bad because obviously we're Knights fans and we'll complain about not getting our due, and I don't want to say I don't feel too bad because I fucking hate the Kings.
But they're not getting anything.
The Kings are not getting any respect.
The only time I hear anybody talking about how good the Kings are is when I listen to Empty Netters because they're friends with Kings players.
Yeah, and they live in LA.
Yeah, and that's it. You don't hear about the Kings nationally, and they're so fucking good.
So much better than fucking any of these teams in the East that they spend hours fucking jerking off about.
They are a great team. and they're better than Edmonton. They're more sound than Edmonton.
This could be, thank God we're not like actually popular or listened to, because this could be a sound clip that would bite me in the ass. But if they meet in the first round of the playoffs, I'm like, I might put my money on LA this time.
Yeah, I mean,
I just think
LA's better than they have ever been, and this is again all without Drew Doughty.
Yeah, and fucking Edmonton is fucking older and slower than they've ever been.
You don't. I can Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, two best players in the world, two best forwards in the world. I'm not gonna deny you that, but then who else is on your team? Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, a fucking 40-year-old Corey Perry. Evander Kane's not playing hockey again.
Well, I don't know, man. I think maybe I'll save it for the end. But continue.
And they have one. I know Evan Bouchard's Evan Bouchard, but they have one legit defenseman that's actually good. They're so bad that they need to trade for a second pairing defenseman.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's not a contender. That's a team in a rebuild. Like,
yeah, no, for real. They're sitting there trying to convince themselves that Ty Emberson was like this diamond in the rough. Like,
unbelievable. But
no
speaking
offense to Ty Emberson, he's
I'm sure he's a good guy. But like,
he's a good player in the sense that I'm like, yeah, you could probably stick around in the NHL.
Yeah, bottom pairing.
Yeah,
instead of playing 20
not a second pairing
20
guy.
minutes a night with Darnell Nurse.
Yeah, God.
But talk about the rest of the league, and I want to lead us into it. Is we're getting very close. It's halfway through. We've got the Four Nations in about a month, right?
Yeah, it's coming up.
And then
starting to see advertisements for it.
Right after that, we have the trade deadline.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, what are some trade targets for the Golden Knights? Realistic trade targets, not like Mikko Rantanen and these big fish, these big fish that are gonna take a haul to trade for, and we're gonna have to launder money between fucking 12 teams.
Well, that's one thing I think, or I know you and I both agree on. And I know they have a tendency for surprising us. That being said, this is not the year for a big fish.
No,
I really don't
save
think
your
it
money.
is.
If you wanted those guys, you could go get them in the offseason because you're gonna have money.
Yeah, and honestly, like, we just really don't have the assets to do it.
No, we don't have picks. We don't have players.
We don't have our first round pick for like what, 2 more years?
2 more years. So like we don't have those things. So go get a middle 6, a bottom 9 depth guy.
So before I start dropping names, I will say the archetype of the player that I think we need is exactly what you just described. We need a middle 6 winger.
Yes.
Someone that, can move around the ice, someone that's responsible, someone that can win battles and races, get pucks off the wall. I'm not saying they have to be like a 20 goal scorer type of guy.
But if they could they could pot some stuff, like 15.
Someone that has enough of an offensive touch where if they're on a good team, it'll come out.
Yeah, and where they're on a good enough, they're on a line with a good enough supporting cast, they can bury something. They can score.
And do you want me to just like drop a bunch of names at once, or do you want to like one at a time it?
Yeah, it's one at a time. We're probably pretty similar in who we'd want to see, because I'm also going to draw the line is we don't need defensemen on this team.
Oh yeah, I think
this is all. If we can get 2 forwards and be at a point where Cole Schwint and Alexander Holtz are the extras on going into the playoffs, great.
Agreed. Well, one, this is actually we talked about the other day because this seems to be
makes sense. I
the
know the
first. This is the first report we've had.
Yeah.
Official report we've had is the fourth period, which is David Pagnotta's podcast / website. They mentioned that we were one of the teams that have been linked to Yanni Gourde from
I would love
Seattle.
him. I've loved the Yanni Gourde as a player since he was on. You say since, it hasn't been a long time, but since watching him, win cups in Tampa Bay, he's not the biggest guy, but he's a damn little mean little fuck. Like,
yeah, he is. I just like him. To me, here are the things that I think why I think we would be interested in him. He's all those things we just described, right? He's a competitor. He can get pucks.
He's a winner.
He's hard on pucks. He's a winner. He has won before. He's won before.
He gets dirty.
And one thing that I feel like people just choose to ignore when it comes to the Knights, because they just think we just headhunt the biggest guys. To me, everything I've heard about him is that he does have good character and he's a hard worker. which, that's one of my favorite quotes about when Kelly McCrimmon picked up, I think it was it Colasar or Howden? I think it might have been Howden. But basically they're like, oh, well, why would you trade for Brett Howden? He seems like he's a failed prospect and blah, blah, blah. And he just said simply, I'm betting on I'm trading for his character. I'm betting on the player, the person, or whatever.
Look where he's at now.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I can't. I completely agree with Yanni Gord. Like,
and Yanni's one of those guys that I don't think he was drafted. He was struggling to get attention, struggling for ice time everywhere he went. All these fucking shit tier leagues and shit tier teams.
Yeah, and then and then he makes the league and he's stuck in the league. Like,
exactly.
Nobody's ever said Yanni Gord's so bad that he needs to leave the NHL. He's been on teams. God, he was drafted by the Kraken in the expansion draft.
Yeah, my favorite story with him off the ice, I guess, is they were describing about how like basically he was like hitting like starting to hit his mid-20s and he still wasn't really sticking anywhere. And he was talking to his wife, and he basically said like he's like, yeah, we need to make a plan because like this isn't going to work. Like I'm I want to go to school here. I'm going to get my degree and whatever and
go figure it out.
Exactly. He's like, I'm just going to put hockey behind me and we're just going to live a regular life. And then I guess they had like a late night over the kitchen counter type of conversation, and then they decided like, okay, we're gonna give hockey one more shot. And then he fucking made the league that year and then won the fucking cup with Tampa.
There you go. That's all it takes is like sometimes it takes one more push, and that's kind of the guy that our ownership and then our front office is looking for, is like a character guy like that.
Yeah, so I love it. As for the on ice stuff, he is a center, but he plays a lot of wing in Seattle right now. I think he's very comfortable there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine he would cost much, like
I think
third round pick, second round pick.
He's getting paid like I think all of $4 million, and you could, if you give him a second or third, and we give him some deep prospect, not even a prospect, like a body back from the AHL, and there you go, they retain 50% or something.
Would you be interested in a lightly used Brendan Brisson?
I think there might be teams that are interested in him. I'm gonna give you one here in a second. Sticking in Seattle, Brandon Tanev.
Yeah, same kind of archetype, right?
Yeah,
I could totally see that.
Couple grinder guys, so fucking fast, like
very fast,
incredibly fast. Does the same thing, like we said, like what we like Yanni Gord doing, but he's also got that extra touch of being the speed, and just willing to do anything.
Physical,
yeah, very very physical, big guy,
and
big buddy.
He just seems like the ultimate glue guy, doesn't he?
He seems like he
seems like a locker room guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's a guy that you bring in just to boost that locker room. I mean, I'm sure the locker room right now is the best it's been in a long time.
Totally.
Like, oh Jesus, JT Miller just tried to fucking decapitate William Nylander.
To be fair, and it looked like Nylander got the stick in his face first.
Yeah, but also he didn't swing.
They're gonna call the retaliation every time, JT. God.
But yeah, Brandon Tanev, I would love to have Brandon Tanev. I think he does everything right, and like similar guy like Yanni Gord, he wasn't drafted. He was both him and his brother, him and Chris Tanev, undrafted guys. Started playing hockey in like their teens or some shit like that. Yeah, I think Tanev. I want this is who these next three are three guys. Maybe not one of them, but we're heading to specifically the East Coast. We're heading. The Blackhawks are hell yeah. We're heading to New York. Specifically a team that we just lost to.
Oh.
Brock Nelson.
Yeah, he does. Again, he seems the type, doesn't he?
Big, willing to do everything. He is a center, but he can have him play wing. You can have Hurdle play wing. You can have a lot of guys on this team play wing. I think Brett Howden prefers playing wing most nights. I would love to have Brock Nelson. He is similar. He's not making a lot of money.
And he's a big body. He can
huge.
Score,
he can score.
Having a little bit of a down year this year.
And he's another good locker room guy.
Exactly.
There's a reason why he's been with the fucking Islanders for so goddamn long.
No, for real.
Like
that's Team USA.
Brock Nelson forward.
Brock Nelson.
You ask why is Brock Nelson on the Four Nations? We just described why Brock Nelson's on the Four Nations.
I'm like, because he's big as shit and he can score.
Exactly.
And that's like literally like the archetype of the perfect NHL player.
We're going over the Rangers. I would hope this reunion does happen. It could. Riley Smith.
Yeah, fucking call me crazy, but I have a feeling he would be a great fit on the Carlson line.
What do you? It's not like they played before.
I mean,
6 years together and won a cup together. What?
Imagine if they, get some defensive shifts and free up Eichel to fucking go sicko mode on people.
Yeah. No, I totally. And then the other one is Chris Kreider. Yeah. Something I kind of been banging the doldrum on for a while. He's not making a ton of money. I think he's got 2 years left, so that might be the difficult thing. Is if you get somebody to retain, he does have two seasons left, so it's not as easy, right, as a mover. Mm-hmm. As all these other guys are got one season, but much like Brock Nelson and Brandon Tanev and some of these other names, he's big. He can score. He sure as shit can score. He only has goals this year. Yeah, and he's fast as fucking shit, and he can deflect in front of the net. He's got a great stick. Like,
I'll just repeat what I said when people are like, "Why is he on Team USA? It makes no sense." I'm like, because he's big, he's fucking elite net front guy.
He's fast.
Nets, he's fast as shit despite his age.
Yep.
And again, fucking goes back to what I mentioned: character, leadership, fucking. Glue guy.
Yeah.
I fucking love
We'll
Chris
just say
Kreider.
it's not Chris Kreider's fault that the Rangers are terrible. It's Drury. So and it's fucking Mika Zibanejad not playing hockey. Sticking in the state of New York, I've got two.
Alex, can I go?
Yeah, go for it.
For God's sake.
Sorry. I was just listening off shift. You go for one. Go for a couple.
No, it's cool. You said state of New York, and you might have this guy written down too. I was gonna say Jason Zucker.
Yep, Las Vegas native,
Jason Zucker.
Yep.
Like I said, fucking that game where
he scored that one goal. I feel like garbage time goal.
He might as well fucking made eye contact with the press box and said, "Please, please,
God, this is
bring me home."
This is the most visually fucking disgusting game we could have put on the TV.
Yeah, Anaheim and Philly.
Orange on orange. It's like fucking two traffic pylons playing each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Jason Zucker, I agree. He's big. I wanted him to get signed here in the offseason.
I was definitely interested in him.
Big, fast, smart.
Where was he before Buffalo? Was he on Toronto or Pittsburgh?
No, he was in Arizona, I think.
Oh, yeah, huh.
Yeah.
Was he on Toronto before that?
I think he got waived from Toronto, and we're all like, "What is Toronto doing?"
Oh yeah,
because he had a couple down weeks, and it wasn't. He started off really, really good, and he just wasn't. He was okay, and they're like, "Well, we're waiving him," and Arizona picked him up, and he was pretty damn good in Arizona.
Yeah, because I just remember because naturally I had to listen to Steve Dangle's crew talk about how actually he's really bad, so you're gonna try to rub it in our face that he's good as soon as he leaves Toronto. I'm like, well, he was good as soon as he left Toronto, so. Fucking what you want me to say.
As I'm saying, that was a fucking rocket. As I wouldn't tip it. But no, that's I kind of going back to Buffalo is that whole thing that everybody jokes like, well, they leave Buffalo and they win a cup. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of true.
No, it is.
I mean,
no, for real.
Jack Eichel, Dmitry Jack Eichel, Dmitry Kulikov, Sam Bennett and Sam Reinhart.
Yeah.
Gustav Forsling, I think, was on Buffalo at one point. Ryan O'Reilly, well,
because I didn't look at his contract. Doesn't he? He was just on a 1 year deal, isn't
Zucker? He? Yeah, he's 1 year deal, and he's making $2 million.
Yeah. Do you have his stats by chance?
Yeah. Let me bring up Jason Zucker. But while we're talking about that, another guy. It's a little bit different. Unless you want to list off somebody else before I go.
Well, I don't know. Despite being bad and losing 6 games out of 8 or whatever, there's apparently they're still third in their division. So I don't know if they're going to sell, but
Boston.
I was going to say Trent Frederick.
I had him written down too. Big.
Yeah.
Smart. Everything that we've been talking about. Trent Frederick.
I think he would really
excel on a fourth line.
If we really do want to have Waugh or Howden play up in the lineup, then I think he would be great to plug into the bottom 6.
Well, you can play him with Howden and Kolesar, and that line is just gigantic. Not Howden, I'm sorry, Waugh and Kolesar. Howden plays with Hurdle, with one of the with Dory or somebody.
Yeah, it would be a line that can bash and could probably pop some goals here.
Yeah, and Jason Zucker, 42 games played. 15 goals, 16 assists, 31 points, +3 on a bad Buffalo team. He's having a great season.
Give him to me.
I would cut off my left testicle for Jason Zucker.
I would love to have Jason Zucker.
He's having a great season.
Las Vegas native, folks. He grew up here. He's one of us.
He probably has a house here.
He's a desert rat, just like us.
So I would love to have him here. But in Buffalo, well, that's why I'm sticking to Buffalo. A guy that we've had a lot of problems with in the West for a long, long time. He's finally out of the West. Wouldn't it be great to bring back Jordan Greenway as a Golden Knight?
That's
huge,
a good pick.
Huge. He is gigantic. He is good for his size. He's a good skater for his size, but you just want him to play on the bottom line. He's a deterrent.
Yeah, exactly.
He is gigantic. He is a big body. He is fast. He can do everything.
And I feel like we can probably put this asterisk with every one of them. But yeah, it's one thing seeing him with Buffalo. Imagine seeing him on, a good team.
Yeah. They're all these guys. I think all these guys are reasonable moves. Like none of these guys are unreasonable.
Yeah.
Like,
can I throw my unreasonable move that I know won't happen?
Yeah,
that would
go
be
for
perfect. Bring Alex Tuck home, baby.
I was thinking that same thing too.
He makes $4.9 million. He's fucking tall. He's fast. He's a power forward. He can shoot. He's grown his two-way game a bit.
I would love to have Alex Tuck back. It's just, but
there's no way Buffalo would do it.
You say that now, like, Buffalo is the worst ran organization in the entire league by a mile.
I feel like my only fear with all these trades with Buffalo that we're talking about is they may or may not have a giant sign pinned to the wall that says no trades with Vegas allowed.
Yeah, well,
just to save themselves from public humiliation.
Well, Dylan Cousins is going to get traded.
Yeah, then he's probably going to fucking win a cup.
Yeah. I mean, look how close Casey Middlestat's getting.
Yeah. Well, did you hear
the Tage Thompson thing from a couple of years ago?
Well, that I think was part of the same episode, but Friedman also mentioned that he was able to, weasel out of someone that Detroit was paying heavy attention to Cousins and like traveling to all these games and like.
Yeah, I would too. He's a good forward.
Apparently, I don't know if they're still working it actively, but apparently it got pretty goddamn close. I don't know.
Detroit
getting Cousins. I don't know what would have went the other way.
Probably one of the many Detroit prospects that are 5 years away from being anything. Because they have a ton.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you said you saw that too. It was like Tage Thompson was super close to getting where to Colorado, was it?
I think so. God,
like
could you
3
imagine?
or 4 years ago, before his deal that he made, big deal,
and before he broke out.
Yeah, before he popped off, they almost abandoned him as a field prospect. Could you imagine right now Tage Thompson on the Colorado Avalanche?
Oh, I try not to.
Gabriel Landeskog would not. Nobody would give a shit if Gabriel Landeskog came back because they would have this fucking monster.
They would be mid dynasty right now.
Oh yeah,
they'd be like, they'd be like
second line center Tage Thompson behind fucking Nathan McKinnon. They won the 5th cup in a row.
No, I was about to say it would be like a Islanders in the 80s type of dynasty where like, oh yeah, hey, they just casually won their 5th cup in 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like, thank God that didn't happen. Thank God the fucking Pagula said no.
Sorry, Kyler, if you're listening, but we just can't have Colorado
be that good.
Yeah, we saw what they did with fucking Nazem Kadri as a second line center.
Oh yeah, and it was a nightmare. And clearly Casey Middlestat's not that. So I wanted to go. Let's stick on the team. Team individual awards. Who would you give? Like who would you give our Hart, our Norris, our Vezina? Like stuff like that. Our Selke. I think the our Hart and our Selke is. We obviously both agree. Who it is. It's Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Like there's no question to me.
Like I said, I think he should be in the conversation for the real Hart and the real Selke.
Exactly. What about who is our Norris defenseman?
That's tough because
Shea Theodore is having such a great season points wise, but Brandon McNabb has the highest plus minus of any defenseman in the entire league.
Yeah, and I know everyone loves to emphasize like, well, it's not a perfect stat. I'm like, it's not, but
I mean, he's on the ice for a lot more goals than he's on against.
When you consider the assignments that he gets and his time on ice and
that allows Shea Theodore to do what he's doing.
Oh yeah, that's like a perfect pairing.
He's a lockdown defenseman, and it's allowing Shea Theodore to be this good and score this amount of points because he knows that Brandon McNabb is back there, fucking locking down that back half of the ice. Like he doesn't have to. He can be a little dangerous. He can push a little bit.
No, exactly. He can jump up in the rush. He can dance through guys and have faith that he'll be covered up.
And then McNabb also has a good scoring touch too. The fucking
He does.
That goal against San Jose. I don't think we talked about it a little bit, but oh boo, they're tied. But that goal against San Jose where he completely undressed one of their defensemen and just fucking toe drag dangled in front of him and just wristed it into the top corner. It was disgusting.
Alex, they don't call him Braden Curl and Drab McNabb for
nothing. And then what was it last season? That crazy fucking spin goal at the end of the year.
Yeah, fucking. What was that? I forgot who was that against, but like a literal spinorama, like
just
into
fucking
the net.
into the net, like just great. But like I would say it's between those two, which is crazy to say because Hannafin's been playing really, really well recently. Petrangelo's
having a great,
just been
year.
good.
He's always
Hagen Whitecloud they're just so good together. Like
they have. I think last year, remember how Whitecloud missed like the whole beginning half of the year, maybe not half, maybe like the beginning like
and they
20, 30
just
games.
weren't good.
I just feel like he just never quite caught up.
Totally. And then plus that it was their first real run in the playoffs as young guys, right? And that'll take if you're not used to it, that's gonna take a toll on you.
Because it's not just the extra hockey; it's also like I mentioned earlier that. What I learned last year is when you win the cup, the next year you just have a big bullseye on your back.
Massive.
Every team
Everybody's
you play is giving you their best game because they want to be able to say, "Hey,
I took down the cup defenders,
exactly.
Defending cup champions."
So, point being, yes, you're right that they have been amazing.
Everybody's been really good and really picking it up. Like we said, Noah Hannafin started off really, really slow. But in recent, I would say the last month since Thanksgiving, he's probably been our best defenseman.
He's been great.
He's been incredible. It's so hard.
I would give it to.
I'd still give it to Theo.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I think he's just kind of hit a new level.
Just because he's
and he's been. It's not just all offense. He's been defending well.
He's I think 4 to 6 points off of a point per game pace, and he's top 10 in scoring for defensemen. When some of these defensemen like Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar and Josh Morrissey are playing out of their fucking minds, I think it's great. And here the other one I had, I know it's a little bit of a sour who's the best goaltender this year?
It's still Aiden Hill.
It's still Aiden Hill, you think? Yeah. I would agree. I mean, it's close, but this is not a bad problem to have.
No, not at all. It's a great problem to have.
It's good.
And
it's good.
Again, I'll just say, this really goes back to why it's so important to invest in things like your goaltending coach.
Yep.
And your goaltending development program.
Yep.
I had this. I've been having this thought a lot the last year or so, but I really am thankful that our team has competent ownership and an ownership that.
Cares and it's willing to spend the money.
Exactly. They spend money on the player salaries. It's what gets all the attention, but it's everything, man.
They spend money on
they get the best coaches,
coaching, the best.
They take care of the players.
Yeah,
and
the best training, the best best off ice stuff. They take care of their players off ice. Find them homes.
I mean, I love listening to the VGK Insider Show. I love watching Nightlife.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing the fun little things they do, and the event. Not that I'm a season ticket holder or I've ever been to one, but they have these awesome events for season ticket holders. And,
I'm a Silver Knights season ticket holder, and the events they do are still a ton of fun. They had the Fall Fest, or it was Halloween Fest. I had a blast. We don't have kids, but I had a blast.
Yeah, and even the Silver Knights, they have. If you follow their accounts, they have interviews and shit after the game, which a lot of AHL teams don't.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
And what I'm getting at, did you see that post on Reddit where I was talking about how someone's like, "Oh, I was trying to listen to, I don't know, the Rangers game or the Devils game or whatever," and I thought the radio call sounded off, and he's like, and I realized it's because there is no radio call; they just use the audio from the TV feed. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
What?
And then some people chimed in a lot of teams they don't even have their own radio call.
They don't have a Dan Duva?
Yeah, no, exactly. They don't have their own radio broadcast. They just pipe out the fucking TV audio and call it a day.
The Rangers are owned by the fucking they play at one of the biggest media conglomerates in the fucking world, and they don't have a radio personnel.
And that's what I mean. It's not just the deep pockets. It's having ownership that cares.
Yeah.
So old man Bill Foley, I don't He's a wily one that fucking
he cares.
He cares.
Yeah,
He cares more than some random corporation does.
Oh yeah, totally. And it clearly reflects that with how the players love playing here. And
it's a high standard, but what I realize is that these guys are real competitors,
Yes.
and they want the high standard.
yeah, exactly.
Because I guarantee you, if you asked any of these guys, like, hey, would you be happy, making your same salary, but you have to play in Buffalo and like you lose fucking
Every night,
you lose 50 games, and like
every
you
year,
just
there's
kinda,
no fucking hope.
and you just kind of coast. They'll be like, fuck no, I want to win.
Nightmare,
Like,
nightmare.
exactly. So yeah, call it what people call it, ruthless. That's another thing too. I'm like, is there like,
Is it really ruthless?
Like,
Any
I-
more
I was-
ruthless?
I
than
was
some
very-
of the- yeah.
I was very upset that they let Marchessault go.
Same.
Um,
I was too. I
And-
mean, clearly, if anybody listens to this podcast, we're both very upset about it.
but at the end of the day, like, is it really that ruthless to let a free agent walk? Like, they didn't fucking trade him,
No.
and
The worst thing that this team's ruthlessly done was the Fleury thing.
yeah,
But that's because McCrimmon got in his head that, God, he was slight. And then also Alan Walsh client. Anybody that's a client of Alan Walsh
Yeah.
is such a shithead.
he really is.
Like, I feel like
well,
that,
you notice, after they traded Pacioretty, that was the last Alan Walsh client.
and I
We
don't
have-
think we're ever going to
we
have
have
an
not.
Alan Walsh client.
we've had zero since then.
Yeah.
Like, it's to the point where literally, like, we should look at our trade targets and see which ones are
yeah.
Alan Walsh
It's like,
clients. and just cross them
you know
all
how
off.
we're talking about baseball agents like a couple months ago? I found remember the guy's name, Scott Boras.
Mhm.
So a lot of baseball teams like red labeled or like fucking bookmarked who's a Scott Boras client, and they will not get signed until like the day
Yeah.
before training camp starts. Like, it's just because he's such a shithead to deal with, and he's such a drama queen that he makes it about him when the player's just like, I just want to play sports, I just want to play baseball.
Yeah.
It's the same idea with Alan Walsh. Guys just want to play hockey, but he's got to be the center stage. I'm like, you're a sports agent, you don't fucking matter.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You're getting paid because these guys are getting paid.
Yeah, I tried watching the podcast that he does with the guy from the Steve Dangle Network, Adam.
Oh yeah.
And God, I just can't stand listening to Walsh talk.
Yeah,
like,
he's such a shithead. Yeah,
he's such a shithead, and like every fucking all he does is complain about Bettman, and his favorite phrase is, well, because of Gary Bettman and his triple hard cap, which is so outdated and backwards and hurts the players so much. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up, bro.
The players
I don't give a
players
shit.
agreed to the cap, and they still agree to the cap. When the next NHLPA comes up, talk about it later.
Exactly.
Also, Alan, did you not know that hockey organizations are a lot poorer than any other sports organization in the entire fucking nation, entire North America? I wonder why they can't pay players more. They don't have a hard cap. Oh, fucking.
I'm like, bro, the league literally almost fucking folded during COVID.
That's
how poor this league is.
Exactly.
It's a lot of money
So
to you
give
and
me-
me, but
give
in
me
the
a
world of
break.
sports, it's not.
Give me a break. But
Do you want to? Speaking of awards, do you want to do a quick look around the league?
Yeah,
and see
I was
for
gonna say
the
actual awards. Yeah, I was gonna say let's do it. That's actually the next thing on my list before I want to play a little VGK centered game with you.
Oh, okay. All right. So, actual heart award. Who would you like? Who do you think is most likely?
I would love it to be Jack Eichel,
Yeah,
but
same.
it's
I
gonna
don't
be
think it's
Nathan
gonna-
McKinnon.
Yeah, I agree.
Nathan McKinnon or Kirill Kaprizov if he heats, when he's back in the lineup or fully back in, he's heating back up again.
Yeah, agreed.
Nathan
it'll-
McKinnon's just having a crazy season, just insane. Like,
yeah, it'll be Nate. I think what's going to hurt Kaprizov is all the lost games from injury.
I agree.
But like I was saying earlier, when it goes back to what's the definition of MVP? Like the guy where the team just wouldn't be the same without him. To me, I'm like, Kaprizov really fucking. Even fucking who has this effect? Fucking Macklin Celebrini on the Sharks. Like, obviously they're a dog shit team, and he's not going to.
I mean, I would argue without Nathan McKinnon, the Avs they would be in a playoff spot because McCarr had ran in, but I don't think they'd be the same at all. They'd be a middling wild card contender instead of like a full on Stanley Cup contender.
No, it's true, but I just mean in general, I guess. Like, like every time McDavid wins it, I'm like, I'm not saying that I'm not downplaying it at all. I'm just saying that if that team didn't have Connor McDavid as their first line center, they would have Leon Draisaitl as their first line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They have an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But that's just a minor nitpick, I guess. But Yeah, I agreed. Probably McKinnon.
Yeah, I think so. The Selke.
This one, I will unironically put
Do it.
a VGK player.
Do it.
I will say it with my full chest and my full bussy. Jack Eichel.
Yep, I agree.
I don't know how it can't be anyone but Jack Eichel.
It's crazy that I get it why it's defaulting to Alexander Barkov. Alexander Barkov is a great two-way forward, but it's to the point where it's like Bergeron. Did some of those years was Bergeron the best defensive forward?
No,
Probably not. They just gave it to him.
Yeah,
it was a throwaway award.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but this is what I meant with the whole like East Coast bias and the fact that these guys don't watch our fucking games. Like, yeah, it's going to be Barkov, and I'm not saying like he's not a Selke contender or a Selke type player. Obviously, he is, but
what Jack Eichel is doing
is insane.
Not only as a Hart contender, but as a two-way forward, is some of the best hockey an individual has played in quite a few years.
Eichel is gonna score
He's gonna have over 100 points.
He's gonna have over 100 points,
but he's gonna have a plus minus of like fucking 35
and
or
he's
40.
Also, and guess what? He's gonna do all that, and it goes back to those numbers we talked about. He starts fucking 16% of his shifts in the fucking defensive zone.
Yeah. He's on the power. He's on the PK.
First
PK. First three-man PK. He is in all defensive situations when we need someone to play defense as a forward. He plays the most minutes of all forwards every night in, night out. He plays against everybody's best line. He marks everybody's best forward, and he plays well against them.
And he fucking he's like one of the few guys in the league that can shut down McDavid.
He's one of the few guys that
can,
a
whole game.
He's one of the few guys that can keep up with Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon. Those speed, like those guys that are fast. He's one of the only guys that can do that, and he does it well.
Yeah, it's. I almost want to like call up Jesse Granger and Ryan Wallace. My guys, you need to get off the Eichel for Hart train.
Eichel for Selke.
Really start banging the drum on Eichel for Selke.
He deserves it. He deserves it,
but they're just going to give it to fucking Barkov or fucking Nico Hischier maybe.
I would say Nico Hischier deserves it. I mean, he deserves it as well. He's won a lot of. Nico Hischier has won the most faceoffs in the league, period. Nico Hischier is a good player. And maybe it's because we don't watch a lot of Florida games, but I mean, I've watched some Florida games. Like, oh yeah, Barkov's good.
I actually do watch a lot of Florida games because I have a weird fondness for non-traditional teams.
But like, we know what Barkov is. Jack Eichel has changed his game completely since being in Vegas. He's completely changed what his game is.
Yeah, and even Cassidy said he's like, oh yeah, it's like he literally says like, oh, I know people don't like comparisons to big names, but he really is like, it's like having Bergeron back. Unironically, full
Jack
chest,
Eichel.
Jack Eichel should win the Selke Trophy.
And then I think this one might be a foregone conclusion. The Norris.
It's going to be Makar, right?
Quinn Hughes.
Oh, I mean, I think it should be Quinn Hughes. But speaking of MVPs, that's who I was trying to think of.
Quinn Hughes?
Who makes their fucking team so much better. And like who, when they're gone, their team suddenly turns to dog shit. Quinn Hughes.
He was out for like, a week? And that team was just fucking hemorrhaging fucking goals and was terrible.
So I agree. It should be Quinn Hughes. I have a feeling it's going to be Cale Makar.
Well, Quinn Hughes still has the most points, I think, for a defenseman so far. So he's got a good chance, and if he stays on the pace. But he's also just been really, really good defensively.
Yeah, he's really rounded out his game. No, I agree. It should definitely.
It should be Hughes. Yeah, like you said, it might be Makar.
Can I throw in my dark horse though?
Lane Hudson.
Alex, have you seen this kid's head fakes? Have you seen this kid's head fakes, man? The way he skates.
It's just going to be like a Carlson from a couple of years ago, like minus 25.
And, I should say, I don't think Lane Hudson is a bad player. It's good to be
excited. He's overhyped.
He's a good prospect, and it's good to be excited. But, guys,
overhyped.
He is not going to be...
Calm down.
He's not the next PK Subban. He's like the next, like, Torrey Krug.
As much as I love empty netters and, like, love their vibe on the podcast... They had Pierre Maguire on, and Pierre Maguire compared Lane Hudson to Quinn Hughes, and how that Lane Hudson's going to be like Quinn Hughes in the next couple of years.
No.
I'm like, I love you, Pierre. You're a great announcer, one of the greatest of the hockey world.
I know everyone clowns on Pierre, but I love him.
I love him, but dude, no.
But
what was your dark horse?
Oh, this great defenseman who I think doesn't get attention because of the team he plays on. Fucking Zach Werenski, man.
Oh, dude, Zach
He's
Werenski's
having
been
a monster year.
insane this year. A big reason why Columbus is probably so good is, and ain't it crazy that remember when both Columbus at one point both had him and Seth Jones.
Yeah.
And Seth Jones wanted all that money, and they said, "No, we're gonna pay Zach," and they let Jones go. And
Smartest fucking
and he went to Chicago, and he's been bad, like legitimately bad. Like you said, smartest decision they've ever made. He's been that's the guy I forgot about. He elite. Like, and even Josh Morrissey too.
Yeah,
he's still having a great season. But yeah, Zach Werenski, man. If McCarr or Hughes like falter, that Werenski's on a fucking like laser straight for first place because he's having such a good year, absurd year. Like,
and last note on Hughes, did you see that picture of that fucking thing on his hand?
His like fucking the fucking thing keeping his fucking wrist together like he's fucking.
I was like, well, that's my concern with him. I'm like, yeah, they probably looks like they totally rushed him back and. His fucking hand might fucking snap.
Looks like they fucking made a bionic man at a quiz.
Yeah, I was like, I saw that. And I was like, oh no.
Next big award. I know we're gonna skip over like the Ted Lindsay and shit like that, but the Vezina.
Connor Hellebuyck won the Vezina 2 months ago.
Yes, but hear me out. I know he's good and he's a known quantity, and he's their one goal, and you need Connor Hellebuyck, but. How big of a difference has Logan Thompson made for the Washington Capitals?
Yeah, I think he'll finish in the top 3 for sure.
He has to be, and it's a fucking crock of shit that he wasn't one of the Canadian goaltenders.
It really is.
I would put him. I would start.
Honestly,
Logan Thompson right now.
Yeah.
Over Binner, sure as shit over fucking Sam Montembeault.
Yeah.
Who was the other goaltender for Canada?
Are you being serious?
Oh, was it Aiden Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. I would take him over Aiden Hill right now too.
Honestly, I might too. Not a shade to Hill.
I really forgot that Hill that actually got named. I did because he wasn't having a good season up into the naming point.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, but that's why I forgot. But I would take Logan Thompson over all 3 of those guys.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal.
He's having such a good season, and not even so much that like the team in front. Yeah, the team in front of him is having a great season. But his numbers are really good. He's top of the league in save percentage, top of the league in the goal saves above every metric. He's in the top 5, top 3.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy that I read the other day? Washington still hasn't offered him a contract.
He's gonna get like $6 or $7 million.
I say his price is going up by the fucking game.
By the minute,
they might want to fucking stop sitting on their hands.
They could have gotten him for $5 million 2 months ago. Now the price tag is $7.
They probably could have got him for 3 at the beginning of the season.
Now the price tag is gonna be $7.
Oh, easy. Not
8.
Alex, would you take him?
Jeremy Swayman?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100% of the time.
What?
Check.
So yeah, I still say Hellebuyck wins.
I think Hellebuyck, but if Hellebuyck
would be my 2.
falters anytime or the Winnipeg peaks, that's the thing with Hellebuyck though. It's like he's such a good regular season goaltender that that man does not have bad regular seasons. I don't think he does. He's playoffs. Yeah, he's not great, but
hey, it's a regular season award.
Yeah, but I think I agree with you. I think it's gonna Hellebuyck, and then
just a shout out. I think my number 3 would probably be Jacob Markstrom.
Oh yeah, Markstrom's having a crazy year. I agree with that. Markstrom's having a really, really good year.
Yeah, turns out, you give a team a competent goalie, and makes a world of difference.
You give a competent defense a competent goalie. Oh wow,
it's insane.
Wow, who would have thought? Last one, probably the most divided one in hockey media. The Calder,
Celebrini by a fucking mile.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I 100% agree with you because everybody's on the Lane Hudson. Yeah, Lane Hudson overtook, I think, the total points. 1, Macklin Celebrini missed like 2 weeks of hockey.
Mm-hmm.
2, Macklin Celebrini is younger. He is literally a teenager. 3, the Sharks are, outside of the Blackhawks, the worst team in hockey.
They are objectively
one of the worst teams I've seen play hockey in a long fucking time.
Oh yeah, they
are awful. Montreal, I thought they would be 5th, and they're right there. They're better than Sharks. Yeah, Lane Hudson is producing. He's on the power play. I just don't think. Here's the argument: like we were on the Brock Faber train from last year, right? With Bedard, but the difference was that what Brock Faber was doing was willing a team that, well, you could say with Hudson, he's not doing it himself though. I wouldn't say it's Lane Hudson. It's Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield and Patrick Laine and Sam Montembeault.
Well, it's that whole young core, finally starting to mature.
Whereas like Brock Faber was doing
fucking sniping it.
Yeah, Brock Faber was doing it all, last year.
Yeah.
Not only was he scoring, but he was playing good defense. That was our argument really for him over Bedard. But I think with Celebrini, it's kind of the same idea. Celebrini's doing everything for that team.
Celebrini single-handedly makes that team better.
Yeah.
Like it is so hard for any player to do this. The fact that he's doing this at like age 18.
Literally.
Like he is literally lifting up that fucking franchise.
Oh,
they scored. Damn.
Yep.
But
yeah, I think it's Celebrini.
Yeah, it's just insane. Like we saw him a couple times now. The impact that he has, like
the ability he has,
that game against the Sharks when we were losing in the third period.
Yeah,
like even Cassidy said, like he went to the room. He's like, guys, like it's Celebrini. Like you got
take out Celebrini and it's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like focus on him because he's dictating the pace of this game right now.
Yeah, and he's got such good pace. He's at 18, such a good hockey IQ too. Like his positioning is well, and like there's some plays where you like someone on his team, someone on the Sharks will lose the puck and the other team is fucking fast breaking the other way, and then fucking Celebrini gets on his 18-year-old fucking piss and vinegar, skates, and he is down that ice, breaking up that play.
Yeah, and I almost hate it because I'm like, yeah, this kid's going to be a real
he's going to be a problem.
A real problem.
Yeah, I think he's a more complete player than Connor Bedard is right now.
I was about to say, do I need to drop my hot take from the other week and repeat it? Fucking, because I had that thought today where I'm like, I think the way Macklin Celebrini lifts up his team.
Yeah.
I can't help but think this is what Chicago thought they were going to get from Bedard.
And not only is Celebrini so good,
not just scoring, fucking everything,
but the way Greer is rebuilding the Sharks is so much better than what the Blackhawks are doing.
Yeah. Because
Greer is like, yeah, we're going to be fucking under 22 for the next 5 years. But you know what? It's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And like all those kids are having a good time and they're playing. Like you listen to like interviews with like Tyler Toffoli. He's like, yeah, this is the funnest time I've ever had. It's because it's nothing serious there. They know they know they're bad. And of course they want to compete, but they know they're not there to win fucking cups right now. Like, but yeah, I think it's Celebrini, and then I would say Lane Hudson is second, and then Michkov. If Michkov can heat back up, I think he's going to battle Celebrini for first.
Yeah, then I'd throw Dustin Wolf's name.
Dustin Wolf's been having a good year. I 100% agree with that. I think that was the last one. Yeah, to end it off, I want to play a little game. You know how we play that game, Who He Play For?
Yeah.
Golden Knight Dedicated. I'm going to give you a name. You're going to say if he played for the Golden Knights or not.
Oh, okay.
Okay? First player. Daniel Carr.
No.
Yes. Left wing. 20. He was number 23.
That had to have been first year.
He played in like the second year.
Shit.
Next name. Max Bennett.
Max Bennett. I want to say no.
You're right. He was a winger in the 1930s for Montreal.
I was going to say, because I thought of Max Comtois, and then I was like, well, one, that's a different person. And
yeah.
Also, Comtois never got out of his PTO.
No.
So.
Jason Garrison.
Oh, well, it's a little trick question, isn't it? Because I think he was on the team technically, but I don't think he played a game, did he?
He played 8 games.
Oh.
Defenseman.
Well, fuck me sideways.
Yeah. Another defenseman, Martin Lauder.
I want to say no.
Yeah, he played for the Boston in the 20s.
All right, I'm learning all this history.
Stefan Matteau.
I'm also going to say no.
He played for the Golden Knights.
What?
He was a left winger. He played like 2 games.
Fucking good for him, I guess. I'm guessing he didn't do much after
Or
that.
number 25. Last guy, Harrison Gray.
I'm going to say no.
You're right. He was a goaltender for Detroit in the 60s.
Okay. Damn, some of those surprised me. Though.
I thought you were gonna get Jason Garrison because that's kind of like you said. That's a name that we took him in the expansion draft.
Well, I knew he was on the team, but I didn't think he had played any games.
He played like 8 games.
Okay,
but that's brief.
Yeah.
I'm just gearing us up for the Mojave VGK trivia next week.
Good call. So I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really start religiously watching until the second year.
Right. But Jason Garrison and I think what's his name? The first guy, Daniel Carr, were all the first year.
Yeah, that was the one that threw me. I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
And then you said yes, and I was like, well.
Yeah, but
who's your favorite random obscure VGK player?
Just because I love his name, Thomas Jerko.
I forgot about him. Yeah. I always just like to randomly remember Oscar Lindbergh.
For that one brief time.
And
what about Oscar Dansk?
Yep, that was a good one too.
Dylan Ferguson.
And then another one that I feel like people forget all the time, Valentin Zykov.
I've got another Russian. What was his name?
Nikita Gusev.
No, he actually never played a game. I almost included him. He never played a game for the Golden Knights. Shipakilov or Shipakov, that other Russian that we had hopes. We had high hopes for a lot of Russians.
We did. But
you know what matters are the Russians that matter now. Ivan Barbashev and Pavel Dorofeyev.
Yep, finally came through for us.
I like how we're just naming random players. You know what? Another random guy that you don't think of at all. Just I feel like you could picture this guy's face. He played goaltender.
Fucking Maxime Lagacé.
Garrett Sparks.
Oh yeah. one of our many first year goaltenders.
Yeah, one of the many that played some games. But glad we had a little fun at the end of this. I think we're finally at the end. We're gonna go watch the Rangers game. Hope we win, and I don't lay down in the road and let someone run me over.
Yeah, that's always an option. I obviously I hope we win too.
I think the Rangers have the talent to just turn it on.
No, exactly. Like I know they've been so bad, but I'm like, well, let's be real here, guys. It's still the same team that
won the President's Trophy and went to the fucking conference finals.
And a fact that I totally forgot about, and I randomly thought about it today when I was driving back from Target. Not only did they do all that, but do you remember in the playoffs they just won their first 7 or 8 games?
They didn't lose a game until they played, I think, Carolina.
And even then,
no, not Carolina. Yeah, Carolina because
Carolina
got swept by Florida the year we played Florida.
Yeah, last year the Rangers they swept Washington.
Yes,
and then didn't they win the first 3 games against Carolina?
Oh yeah, New York just ran through people up until Florida.
Yeah, and even then, that was a 6-game series. Yeah, it's not like
it's close.
Not like they got bitch slapped.
They can win. It's just like we said. That team's also tired. They've had a lot of fucking long playoff runs in the last 5 years. But I think we can win. Just you got to be smart. Got to play complete hockey.
What's been on my mind this whole last month with how good it's been? Obviously, the primary thing is this is great. I love this. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then my other thought was, yay, Christmas, I'm not at work. But other than that, whenever any team is doing well, I'm always in the back of my head, I'm like, it can swing the other way at any moment. Yeah. So hopefully this is a blip.
Yeah. You just don't want somebody to peak too soon. But I think this team, I think this team is different. I
hate to say it and speak it into existence or jinx or whatever, but it really does remind me of the Cup team.
Yeah,
it really
it's just the mentality of everybody, the
way they're playing, the way they've all bought in, and the roles that they're all playing.
Yeah,
I know he's not scoring, and frankly, I wouldn't mind using him as a trade chip, but if Bruce Cassidy can get Alexander Holtz to play a two-way game and get him a forecheck,
and he's forechecking out of his goddamn fucking 5'9" mind.
There's been a lot of good lines from that. I got a lot of good shifts from that line with him. And
that line hasn't been the worst line that we've had, and they're actually pushing and trying, and they look decent. Like you said, if Alexander Holtz can now be a two-way forward and forecheck and back check and muck it up in the in the other zone and let everybody get a change, I think Bruce Cassidy can do a lot of anything with almost any player that he gets.
Yeah, before the season started, Gary Lawless said something to the effect where he's like, I'm not going to say it's blind faith, but as close as it gets to blind faith.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I have in Kelly McCrimmon.
Yeah.
For me, that's me with Bruce Cassidy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm more
faithful.
I'm at the point where I more or less have blind faith in Bruce
Yeah,
Cassidy.
like he's like, you'll see him on the bench, like against the Islanders. There are shots of him. He looked like he was ready to go kill someone's family.
Well, and that's
like,
the thing. Like, I feel like he has this reputation for like being angry, but like, you know, now that we're doing the podcast, I watch every press availability. Like,
he's very calm.
Every pregame, every postgame, every practice, and I'm not saying he doesn't yell at people, but I think people don't give him credit for how well he can read the room and how well he communicates.
Yes.
And I know he and Marshy went at it, but you know, Marshy's a big personality.
Yeah.
And even then, they both reiterated many times that they
both needed that personality.
They needed it, and like that they ultimately respected each other. And,
yeah.
You know, it's like Marshy said, and people were like, oh, what do you think of Bruce? He's like, what do you mean? We won.
Yeah.
That's what I think of him. Like,
doesn't matter.
It worked.
Exactly. But yeah, I agree. I think this team just feels like all completely bought in. You don't see anybody that's playing that's just not trying.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's playing their ass off. Even if guys that pop in, like Lachinsky and Burke and Ron Beer, guys that play some games are 100% bought in to that game.
Yeah, and I know it seems like, you know, there's some little holes that we could fill, but
that's nitpicking.
We have to remember that
this team is tied for first.
Exactly. I was going to say, we won the cup with fucking Phil Kessel and Michael Amadio on the roster. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
we won the cup with like Braden Pacall as an extra.
Exactly.
Fucking Jonathan Quick was playing important games.
Exactly.
At the end of the year.
So
like,
and
we won a cup with knowing that, again, let's reiterate, Laurent Brossoit was the starter.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing great, but Laurent Brossoit.
And then Aiden Hill took over for him.
Yeah, and then
Logan Thompson didn't play a single game.
Yeah.
And before the year started, everyone's like, who the fuck's this Thompson kid?
Yeah, and then Brossoit got injured, and Hill took over and just
halfway through a
halfway
series
through the series
with
against
the fucking
Edmonton
Oilers
and played great. And
so what I'm getting at is
you can get
my big lesson, I guess, from that was you don't have to be perfect. You just have to win.
And you just have to win, and you just have to play to your ability, because Bruce Cassidy's gonna fucking squeeze every bit of fucking ability and fucking hockey IQ, and he's gonna squeeze every bit of that out of you to make you a better player.
This team is what a lot of teams aren't, and that is they are more than the sum of their parts.
Yes, yeah, because like I know we're getting long. We gotta wrap it up. But look at some of the guys.
Feed these puppies. Look how they're staring at us.
Brett Howden, Keegan Kolesar. Look at those guys that, you know, we've talked about how Cassie looked at them as leaders. They've bought in. They're having career years. Like all these guys that, you know, have been bopped around the league. Jack Eichel having a career year. I would frankly think if Olofsson was stayed healthy, he would be leading the team in goals right now with how he's playing. Like, these guys are having completely different years than what they've had previously, and they just all look so bought in. Like, the buy-in is extremely high, and I think it's just, you know, just a reflection of the organization and especially Bruce Cassidy. You know, especially at a halfway point, the boys keep buying in. You're buying yourself into a nice playoff run.
Yep.
So
agreed. So, but hey, we're halfway through, folks.
Yep.
We're top of the league, top of the division, top of the conference. I feel pretty good.
And, you know, until next time, stay gold.
Stay gold.